On August 21st, 2017, a total solar eclipse was visible across the continental United States for the first time in nearly 40 years. A total solar eclipse occurs when the moon travels in between the Earth and the Sun, almost completely obscuring the Sun and blocking out most of the light. However, the full effect of the eclipse is only visible from a relatively small belt due to how much greater in size the Sun is compared to the Moon. This belt is known as the path of totality. Observers outside of this path are still able to see a partial eclipse, but the effects will be diminished the further away they are from the central belt line. The Great American Eclipse, as it was called, was one of the most anticipated cosmic events in decades. It was predicted that millions of people across the country would travel to see this very rare event. Because of the large number of people expected to come see the eclipse, Amtrak operated two special eclipse trains, one between Chicago and Carbondale, Illinois, and the other on the Amtrak Cascades route from Portland, Oregon to the Salem, Oregon State Fairgrounds. Both trips were so popular that they sold out within 2 days. Let's now travel to a spot just north of Salem, Oregon to see the total solar eclipse and the special Amtrak Cascades eclipse trains. This is the Perkins Street grade crossing located just a few miles north of Salem. We are here early in the morning both to get a good spot to view the eclipse and to see the early morning special eclipse train. It is just after 6 a.m. and there is already a steady stream of cars traveling towards Salem on southbound Interstate 5. The central line of the path of totality for the eclipse passed right in between Salem and Albany, so this was a very popular spot to see the eclipse. With no clouds in the sky, the day promised to provide perfect viewing opportunities for the eclipse. We don't have to wait too long before Eclipse Special Train number 1013 zooms by, running right on time. Amtrak Cascades trains use rather unusual train sets called talgos, manufactured by a Spanish company of the same name. The cars of these trains are semi-permanently joined, and the cars share a single wheel set with the next car on each end. They are also equipped with a tilting mechanism which helps the trains travel smoother and at greater speeds around curves than most other North American passenger cars. Because of this, trip times along the Cascades route are significantly reduced, particularly on the section between Portland and Seattle, where trains save nearly a half hour of time. The rail line that passes through here is part of Union Pacific's I-5 corridor, linking California with the Pacific Northwest. Several freight trains a day travel along the line, as well as Amtrak's Coast Starlight and Cascades trains. Amtrak Cascades travels as far south as Eugene, Oregon, and as far north as Vancouver, British Columbia. People from all around have come to see the eclipse. Some are even taking hot air balloon rides for the experience. As the day progresses, the sun begins to climb over some trees in the distance. We are just a couple hours away from the start of the eclipse. Shortly after 7 a.m., Amtrak Cascades train number 503 passes by, also running close to on time. Amtrak Cascades trains are usually powered by an F-59 PHI locomotive with a non-powered control unit serving as a cab car at the other end of the train. Lately, however, more P-42 DC locomotives from Amtrak's long-distance fleet have been used. In the not-too-distant future, Siemens Charger locomotives will largely replace both the F-59s and P-42s on these trains. A while later, Amtrak Cascades train 500 heads north, running significantly late. Because not enough train sets were available, Amtrak canceled train 500 south of Salem and used the set for the Southbound Eclipse Special. Upon arrival in Salem, the set was then turned to become train number 500. Passengers were bused between Eugene and Salem. Traffic continues to thicken on I-5 southbound as more and more people travel to see the eclipse. The first freight train of the day approaches. This is a southbound Union Pacific train of empty well cars. These trains are sometimes given the nickname of bare table trains. Typically, these are the lowest priority trains on the railroad and are almost always stopped to wait for higher priority movements. Not too much later, another southbound Union Pacific freight passes by. This is a manifest or mixed cargo train. Where before the roadsides were empty, close to a dozen cars with Eclipse viewers are now parked along both sides of Perkins Street. By the time of the eclipse, this number will grow to close to 30. The sun is now high in the sky, and quite bright. To protect our eyes, as well as the image sensors in the cameras, we will be using a protective welder's shield to see the eclipse progress. Speaking of progression, it is now just after 9 o'clock, and the eclipse has already begun. You can very clearly see at the 1 o'clock position the moon beginning its path in front of the sun. A little after 9:30 and still just under 25% of the sun is covered. However, you can already sense that the day isn't quite as bright as it was a half hour ago. Just before 10 o'clock, coverage is right around 50%. It is 10:10 a.m., just 7 minutes before totality, and the sun is now mostly covered. Just a slim crescent is all that remains at this point. As we get closer and closer to totality, an interesting phenomena is visible. Looking closely at still photographs, we can see what appears to be distinct beads along the edge of the moon. Called Bailey's beads and nicknamed the diamond ring effect, these little beads of light are caused by sunlight passing through certain low points on the surface of the moon as the sun is disappearing from view. The reddish hue of some spots is from hydrogen radiation, as nearly 75% of the sun's mass is composed of hydrogen. And just like that, we watch as the moon slips in front of the sun, throwing us into a strange world of darkness. 10:17, and we are now in totality. There is a strange calm all around, and the sky gives off the appearance of twilight. It isn't pitch black, but it is just dark enough to make out a few satellites and what appears to be a planet or star or two in the sky. At our location, totality won't last too long, just a minute and 30 seconds. And just like that, it's over. The sky gets lighter, twilight turns into daylight, and everything is back to normal. Or semi-normal, that is. Changing back to the welder's shield, we can now see that the moon is disappearing at the 7 o'clock position on the sun's face. Remember how I said semi-normal? Well, just look at all that traffic. Even tiny Perkins Street is now gridlocked with cars as far as you can see as people rush to leave. All the roads in the area are completely gridlocked, and it will remain this way for several hours. So, we will wait and see if we can spot any more trains before heading out. By 11:45, the eclipse is completely over. The sun returns to shining over the landscape. Not quite 10 minutes later, we see our next train, a northbound Union Pacific local. I-5 North is now crawling slower than ever. It will take days before this stretch of road becomes traffic-free once again. Almost an hour goes by before we see our next train, a northbound Union Pacific manifest. The northbound Eclipse Special, train number 1012, was scheduled to depart Salem around 1 p.m., but was significantly delayed, possibly also due to the eclipse. A train set from a Seattle to Portland train was run without passengers, also called deadheading, to Salem to return as train number 1012. It's now well after 1 p.m. and even the deadhead movement has yet to pass by. Traffic on northbound Highway 99 is still at a crawl, though. At last, just before 2:30 p.m., the deadhead movement heads towards Salem. The lateness of this train caused further delays throughout the system, including to the Coast Starlight. Train 1012 would finally arrive in Portland at 4:36, a grand total of 2 hours and 13 minutes late. Despite the many delays on both road and rail following the event, the August 21st, 2017 total solar eclipse created memories for millions across the country. No doubt that the next eclipse across the United States in 2024 will draw throngs of people as well. I hope you've enjoyed this unique opportunity to see trains and a total solar eclipse. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to let me know by liking it and leaving a comment below. If you'd like to see more videos in this style in the future, make sure you vote in the poll for this video. That's it for now. Until next time, I'm Mike Armstrong. I'll see you down the line. Thanks for watching.